Rename. There we go.
Oh, crap, I need to
Pyke.
update the episode.
And
23
yep.
CR90 Corvette. If I can
I'm guessing
spell it right.
Austin ended up on vacation.
He is on vacation, yes.
All right.
And it's funny, like, I'm on vacation in 2 weeks, but I leave Wednesday, the 29th, or no, the 28th.
Yeah.
We'll have the patron chat the 27th, so I'll still be here for that. And then I'll be back. I, I fly back in Monday, so I'll be able to be here the following week for that show.
Dude. So just a nice little break there.
Yeah. And I'll be in a
Cool.
galaxy far, far away. Again
Oh.
this year. And next year, I'm planning to do Universal. So,
Oh, okay.
with the new show and everything. And they dropped a new trailer today for Hogwarts Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hey, here's the pre order exclusive quest for PlayStation. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I already have it on PlayStation. But, uh, can they drop another wave of collector's editions? Because I want that collector's so much.
Are collector's editions becoming worth it again? Because there was a period of time in gaming where
So, I mean, it depends on the collector's edition, for me at least. I always buy the collector's edition for Assassin's Creed because I've
hmm,
had every single one of them except for like two.
hmm.
So it's kind of like every time they announce one, hey, here's a collector's, and it's like, ah, all right, another one for the collection. And the collector's editions for the AC games are pretty worth it because the statues that go with them are really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I got Black Flag and 3. I didn't
yeah, I have Black Flag, I have three, I have Valhalla, Origins, Unity, Odyssey. I think that's it. Because I don't have Syndicate. Syndicate they only did in the UK,
mm.
which was kind of BS in my opinion. And then I didn't get two because it came out in 2009 and I was in high school at the time, so I did not have the funds to buy a $200 collector's
Yeah.
edition. um,
That's same. Yeah, same. We had to choose because there's myself, my two brothers,
mm-hmm.
and my family was like, okay, look, you guys can have some video games, but we're not getting you like 3 collector's editions, which were, I guess I'm still assuming 120 a pop, and they're like, no.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me share this to Twitter. But like the collectors for Hogwarts Legacy is it goes with a spell book and it goes with a 1 on 1 scale unique looking wand. The wand
Oh.
levitates over the spell book. Not with a like string and not with like a stand or anything. It hovers with
Huh.
electromagnets. And I was like, I mean, the collector's edition is 300, but it's like, okay, I know
That's pretty
I
cool.
understand where the $300 coming from because it comes from the freaking magnets alone.
Yeah.
And I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
that's like the coolest thing ever. And I was like, they and if you go to the Hogwarts Legacy Twitter page, they even said they apologized for the terrible miscommunication on it because it went live and no one knew it went live and it was gone by the time most people found out. And I was like,
Mm.
we apologize, but it only went up for pre-order in GameStop,
Yeah.
um, which is where I work, and I wasn't
Uh,
notified. Which was terrible. It shows how bad the release of that was.
yeah.
That was Warner
Yeah.
Brothers' big mistake. And then they announced, hey, we're going to do other retailers and do it in waves so people have more chances and to get the pre-order for it, and I was like, huh, okay, I have a chance.
All right.
And they did not do the pre-order for the PC or the Switch versions of the collector's edition yet. So
Okay.
if I can't get a PS5 version, at least I can try and get a PC.
Is it only PS5 or PS5 and 4?
It's on all of them. 4,
Okay.
5, Xbox One,
Man, I do
Series.
not look forward to the day when things are like, okay, we are discontinuing anything on a 4, and I'm just like, I hope by then, the stocks are full of 5s, because otherwise it's gonna get real old real quick.
Yeah. Well, GameStop gets them once a month. Just saying.
Okay,
But yeah, I mean, the stock is becoming a lot more
it's better.
available. It's a
Okay,
lot better than it was. Expect like with the chips factories being like actually being able to pump out chips again.
right.
Um, all the consoles have become much widely available again. Thankfully.
All right. Well, I think I know what I'm picking up for Christmas.
Right. But yeah, I like Sony did a live stream today. It was mainly Japanese games.
Hmm.
Um, the last one they showed more on God of War. They did the
Mm,
pre-order trailer quest for Hogwarts Legacy, and then they had one new Japanese game called Rise of the Ronin, which is like a Ghost of Tsushima style by the looks of it, but a
okay.
lot more action based, and it's set in like the mid 1800s, so there's firearms. So not only are you using like a samurai sword, but you're also using like a flintlock pistol or like a flintlock rifle with a bayonet at the end of it. It looks freaking
Okay.
sweet.
Okay.
2024.
Of course.
I know. It's like PS5 exclusive 2024. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
I mean,
guys,
by
I
then.
enjoy getting awesome game trailers, but stop giving me like game trailers. Like, it's 2 years from now. That
Yeah, a
doesn't
lot can
help me right
change.
now. It, I'm okay doing like a year out.
Hmm.
Because, okay, year out. Okay, I'm okay with that. More than a year is kind of like overkill. Like, that's
Yeah.
giving me too much hope.
Yep.
Star Wars games. Um,
Yeah.
Lucasfilm, stop giving me
Oh.
trailers and then not telling me when they release. Except for Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor. That is actually next year, which is super nice. Except for that. Super excited. Me and Shanko are going to record episode 0 tomorrow.
Oh,
Super pumped
yeah.
for that.
Yeah, she's excited.
One of my
I think
friends.
you guys are gonna do pretty well.
I I I hope so. I mean, when I brought it up to Tom, he thought it was a really good idea, and
Yeah.
he asked me, "Is like, what kind of other show? Like, look around on Spotify and Apple, like Apple podcasting, like what kind of other shows there are." Every single Harry Potter show I came across is either that discussion show or it's straight up a book club.
Mm.
And I was like, no one's really going into this. Like, there's so much. Or it's like, hey, what? Like, let's talk about the films, or hey, let's read chapter by chapter. And it's like, okay, I mean, if I'm gonna read the chapter by chapter, I'll just get the book from like my basement because I have them,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I'll just get the audiobooks, which I kind of want to get again and reread. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting that no one's really like dived into the lore, which in that world.
Yeah. And considering, I mean, there's so many of the so much stuff that's set up and foundational for Harry Potter to work. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But it is now 8 o'clock. I think we are good to go. Oh, I need to pull up the show notes. That would be very helpful. There we are. All right. Ready to do a show?
Yep.
Cool.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. We're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe. And welcome back, everyone, to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. I am one of your hosts, Ben of Temeria, and I am normally here with my other host, Teacup or Austin, but he is out on vacation this week, so he's getting some much-needed R&R. But I do have a special guest host with us.
Oh, hi everyone. Psych.
Psych88 from the MCU Lorecast is joining us again this week. Good to have you here again, Psych. How you doing?
I am doing pretty good, and I'm happy to help out.
Good, thank you. So, as of we've been going in our theme for starships and whatnot, we are going to go over the CR90 Corvette this week, which is also known as the Rebel Blockade Runner, which we see literally in all things in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Or Rebels.
Yep.
But
it took me a minute to remember which one this was. Once I saw the engines, I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, this guy."
Yeah,
okay.
once you like see the back of the ship or even just the front, I was like, "Oh, it's that one." The one we see literally okay, so if anybody, before we really dive into all of our stuff, the CR90 is the Corvette runner that Princess Leia is on at the very beginning of A New Hope, but before Darth Vader boards it. That's the ship. That's the type of ship we're talking about. And it's literally in all things Star Wars media. It's great.
It really is.
But yeah, let's start into it. With the legends, as I was saying, the CR90 Corvette, commonly referred to as the Corellian Corvette or the Rebel Blockade Runner, also known as the Alderaan Cruiser, was a small multi-purpose capital ship manufactured by Corellian Engineering Corporation. With Corellian, as you might have heard on earlier episodes for the ships, Corellia literally is just a one giant shipyard planet. So all they do is just make ships. And if you even play Star Wars The Old Republic, you will go to Corellia and literally try to take over the planet because of the shipyard. That is the only purpose of that planet.
It is interesting that a Corellian ship gets known as an Alderaan cruiser.
True. With that, I mean, I'm pretty sure it just comes down to like the Organas at that point.
Okay, yeah.
The Organas mainly use these ships, or like a lot of diplomats from Alderaan just use these ships, so they just nickname it. Hey, here's the Alderaan cruiser. It's like, but this cruiser wasn't from Alderaan. But I blame Princess Leia for that, or even just Bail. God, his name almost escaped my mind. How do I forget his name? But the CR90 was also a wide variety of users throughout the galaxy, from pirates to corporations to galactic navies, and a known operational light from at least as early as 52 BBY to as late as 137 ABY. It possessed the same legendary ability as other CEC products, which allowed it to serve in roles as mundane as freight hauling or high-profile diplomatic escort. Which, that last part for the diplomatic stuff, is obvious because Princess Leia and the Organas use all those ships.
Yep.
But that's interesting. I don't recall seeing any of these Blockade Runner or the CR90s during the Clone Wars all that much.
I mean, Yeah, it is. That is interesting. I mean, obviously Organa uses his a lot, so
Hmm.
any episode that even remotely starred him somehow had his ship in there somewhere.
True.
Um, but other than him, yeah,
Not
it's not.
many, unless like if I don't know. I have to rewatch a lot of Clone Wars. I'm I miss so much stuff in Clone Wars, but it's such a good series. Um,
I'm currently rewatching it with the kids. Um,
nice.
yeah, and so they're enjoying it a lot.
I imagine you probably see one when we get when you meet Hondo again. I I want to say he probably had one. It wouldn't doubt my
Uh,
mind.
I mean, it wouldn't doubt me either. I think, I mean, other than his classic UFO,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm not. Maybe at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We're only up through we're only up through when Maul had just taken over the the Shadow Cabal,
Oh, the Shadow Syndicate and all
the
that.
Syndicate. Yes,
Okay. Yeah. That's season 3, 4,
uh, 5.
5. Gee, oh God. Out of 7. Okay, you're almost done.
Yeah, yeah.
So with the Republic service in the last decades of the Galactic Republic, the CR90 Corvette was introduced, and older Corvette models like the CR70 were gradually being retrofitted into this version. The Republic CR90 Corvette served in the Judicial Forces and later in the Republic Navy. When it was reinstated during the Clone Wars, the CR90 model was reconsidered or was considered a mid-sized Corvette in the time before the wars. So it did have service in the Clone Wars. I don't really remember seeing too many of them. Or no, there's one in Phantom Menace. Aren't they on? Or is that a Hammerhead? They were either on a Hammerhead or a CR90, one of the two.
I want to say they were on a Hammerhead.
I think they
That's what I
were.
want to say at least.
See, I need to rewatch this. I need to rewatch a lot of stuff. I'm doing
Yeah,
too much.
I know, right?
So then we go to the Imperial service. A dwarf amongst the massive Imperial class Star Destroyers of the Imperial Navy. The CR90 corvettes were relegated primarily to diplomatic and escort duty in the Galactic Empire. In fleet engagements, the CR90 corvettes were often tasked with attacking enemy starfighters or fleeing the battlefield with important cargo or intelligence. Prior to the dissolution of the Imperial Senate by Emperor Palpatine, these corvettes were used by Imperial senators as diplomatic couriers. So, more diplomatic stuff.
Yeah.
And then we go to the Rebel and Fringe service. Unlike the Imperial counterparts, Alliance CR90 corvettes acted as frontline combat ships for the early years of the Galactic Civil War, generally being used as anti-starfighter screens. The ease of acquiring the CR90 parts and mechanics made them a good fit for the desperate rebellion, which makes sense. With the rebellion being as not a large scale army or military.
Mm-hmm.
They have to use what they can, and with the CR90 easily being able to acquire and be able to retrofit or even steal, which I guarantee you, majority of the ones they had in the lands were stolen. Uh,
Commandeered,
they were commandeered.
borrowed.
They were borrowed, and it was given back after the war to themselves.
Right. And
Um,
also, it makes sense strategically because you want a smaller ship
mhm.
that the Star Destroyers have a harder time
Oh yeah,
like
they have a
nailing.
lot. The CR90 has much more maneuverability than a Star Destroyer. Star Destroyer takes forever just to turn around, let alone like by the time it turned around, the CR90 hit hyperspace by like not even like a quarter way through its turning.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not even a tenth, honestly. Um, Plus, with the CR90, since the Empire actually used the CR90s as well, they could also possibly do spy missions or like get quick in and outs without even the Empire even realizing it.
Right. Yeah. Good for infiltration.
Oh yeah. So it's near ubiquity made it popular.
Ubiquity.
Ubiquity. God, the words.
It's all
Made
good.
it a popular choice amongst rebels, pirates, and smugglers, earning it the nickname the Blockade Runner for its ability to slip through Imperial nets. Uh, However, it proved ineffective against larger ships such as Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer, short of suicidal ramming attacks unless it was used in large numbers against such a vessel. One example was the space battle of Kuwait. Kuwait?
Yeah.
I want to say that's Kuwait, but not like the country. Uh, when 5 corvettes caused considerable damage to the Star Destroyer Tyranny. And then, knowing that the Corvette was used by the rebellion, Imperial authorities often stopped them for inspections on the flimsiest of excuses. So eventually they did caught on, obviously, because it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to not notice that, how all the Corvettes started, like, getting away from Rebel or from the Empire and, like, you know, taking important assets from the Empire, kind of, like, would eventually caught up. Crime Lord Tiber Zan acquired a CR90 Corvette for his fleet during the corruption efforts in the galaxy, which Tiber Zan, let me see, if I recall, I think he was... Oh yeah, he was during the outdated Old Republic. Okay, yeah, so he was during the Galactic Civil War. I don't know too much on Tiber Zan. That's another person we would
Yep.
have to go into. Star Wars is such a massive, massive
Yeah.
galaxy. As Toasty from the Witcher Lorecast has stated, I'm going to be doing this podcast for the next 98 years, if not more, because it's just too much.
Right. However, for as big as it is, we all they seem to like recycle the same 6 worlds and
Yes,
you
I
keep
don't
running
have.
into the same people.
Yes,
Like,
and
come on,
somehow
guys.
Coruscant always gets invaded. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So then we go to the New Republic service. Following the transition of the Alliance into the New Republic, the CR90 Corvettes continue to play an important role in the newly organized New Republic Defense Fleet until phased out of line duty with modernization efforts like the New Class Modernization Program, which was a program to where they heavily updated a lot of their ships to be much of a better design, since they actually now have the funds and capital to make better ships.
I mean, it tends to happen when you take over the Empire's stockpile.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. And like with the New Republic, they also, like we said in our Star Destroyer episode, in Legends, not in the canon, but in the Legends of things, the New Republic actually used retrofitted Star Destroyers, because why give up a good ship when you have plenty of them in your arsenal?
Yep.
So now we get to the descendants of the CR90. So we had the Sundran Heart. A well-known example of this significantly modified CR90 was a Sundran Heart, a Corvette modified for extreme speed with an added set of sublight engines. This vessel was capable of up to 4 times the sublight acceleration of an original CR90. That means it's super fast. In simple
Yeah.
terms, it is stupid fast. Probably as fast as the Millennium Falcon, if not faster. The Millennium Falcon is stupid fast.
Yeah, it can haul.
Then you have the CR92A Assassin class. Sometimes around the Battle of Hoth, the CR92A Assassin class Corvette began seeing widespread use, commonly known as the Modified Corvette. The Assassin class was designed specifically for combat. In its default configuration, it carried 6 dual turbo lasers and 1 warhead launcher. The Imperial Navy was known to use the Assassin class in significant numbers. So this is something that the Empire used, obviously, because the Rebel Alliance had no way of upgrading something that heavily.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
having a blockade runner with 6 turbo lasers, so that's basically 3 on each side, and then a warhead launcher, probably either the bottom of the ship or the top, is devastating.
Yeah, that would pick apart a lot of the, barely held together fighters, as it were, for the
Mm-hmm.
Rebel Alliance.
Or just standard ships alone, you're
Yeah.
gonna be not having a good time. And it has the mobility better than a Star Destroyer too, so
Yeah.
that's even worse. So then you have the Corellian Buccaneer. The Corellian Buccaneer was another militarized Corvette class introduced no later than 7 ABY, so this is after the Battle of Yavin. It had similar technical specifications to the CR90, but had a stock armament of 10 dual turbo lasers. One such vessel was used by the Dynamic Automata Company in the Penstar alignment.
Hmm.
So 10 turbo lasers, not just
Feels like
6.
overkill.
Just having more than, yeah, it just gets insane. Like, why does a Corvette need to be heavily armed like this? So now we have the Nightcaller. Sometime after the Battle of Endor, the New Republic captured at least 2 different CR90 refits designed to carry starfighters. The first was the Nightcaller, captured by Warlord Zinj and 7 ABY. Though it was very similar to the CR90 in most respects, it was built from the ground up to serve as a small carrier. The primary changes from the original CR90 design were to enlarge the bridge section with a starfighter hold and a tractor beam projector suited for much larger warships.
Hmm.
So, that's interesting. And then you got the Farstar. The second known carrier refit was Farstar, originally commissioned in 52 BBY. It was refit in the design, refit by the order of Moff Kentor Sharn. A large docking bay was grafted into the vessel's spine, and its hyperdrive system was modified to accommodate a new hull shape. It was unclear if this modification was any way standardized or if it was custom Imperial design.
Hmm.
So, that's what we got in Legends of the CR90, which is a lot of fun stuff.
It's pretty cool.
CR90s, like we said at the beginning, probably one of the most well-known ships because the intro of A New Hope is the first thing you see and the first thing that blows up.
Yeah, it is.
So
Huh.
it's very, very famous. But yeah, well, let's stop here and head to our mid break, and then we can get back into the canon of things and go from there. All right, now that we are in the mid break, I just want to thank everybody listening on either through Twitch, YouTube, or when this hits live on Thursday on whatever podcasts where you get your podcasts from. This is also where I want to remind everybody we appreciate any reviews that you put through. Any 5-star reviews we will read out on the show. And also hit us up on Spotify with those ratings. It really helps out the show a lot, getting us to a bigger audience. And also, I do want to remind everybody and thank all of our patrons. We do have a Patreon at patreon.com/Holocron Histories, to where we have a bunch of tiers starting all the way down to $5 to get ad-free episodes, and then also a chance to get onto the show, which we do every month, and it's always a great time. It's so much fun. Just like the time when I had Tosi when we spent an hour and a half just talking about Obi-Wan. Yeah.
That was a great episode. I
It
loved
was,
that episode.
and funny enough, I didn't realize what the time was until in the episode. I was like, I apologize for all that 1 hour and a half. But oh yeah, it's so much fun. And then I also have an announcement to where I am actually starting a new podcast called Wizarding World Lorecast, a Harry Potter podcast, where I and my co-host Captain Shenko from the MCU Lorecast, so Sykes co-host, we are teaming up to where we're going to do a Harry Potter podcast and go into deep dive into all the lore of the Harry Potter universe. Our first episode, our episode 0, should be dropping on Friday. We'll be recording that tomorrow, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And if you hear this, we would be recording it Wednesday, so it'd be up on Friday. But yeah, we will be doing that weekly. There's a lot to go into. I'm super excited for it. First 3 episodes is going to be wild, and I loved Harry Potter growing up. I did not realize how deep the lore has been in the last 20 years. It is ridiculous. But that is what we got for the mid break. Also, follow the MC Lorecast Psych show. It's a great
Please.
show. They go deep dive into the MCU lore, or even just in Marvel lore, just in general, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, we cover the comic book adaptational part of it, like how well did that come to the screen, what parts were we kind of skipping, what parts really didn't age all that well, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep, lots of fun. And then you can also find us on Discord at the Robots Radio Discord for Wizarding World and Holocron Histories and the MCU Lorecast. And then you can find the Holocron History Lorecast or Holocron Histories on the Cups Podcast and More Discord as well. And my co-host Teacup is also starting a new podcast for the Inheritance series, which is Aragon, which, lo and behold, I did not know Aragon had a completely different name for the books. So that's cool. So they're doing that. It's going to be a chapter by chapter read of the Inheritance saga, which is super exciting. But that's what we got for the mid break, and let's get back into the canon of things. God, I love that sound.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
So, as far as canon, we will start with the Clone Wars. So, the CR90 line was his service during the Clone Wars. Senator Bail Organa of Alderaan owned a CR90 Corvette called the Tantive 4, which was used to travel to Tordaria to negotiate to relieve efforts of the blockade on Ryloth. Whoa. Bail Organa owned a CR90? What? No way. It's the same ship we see in A New Hope, too. What?
He probably owned a fleet of them.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
He had a Tantive 4. What happened to the first 3? That's what I want to know. Bail
other family members.
Did Bail just go like, "Hey, I'm going to take this for a spin," and like crash land all 3 of them? Like that I want to know.
Did Bail have some interesting 20s? I feel like he did.
So then we go to the early rebellion against the Galactic Empire. So after the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire, the CR90 continued to see service within the Empire, where several such cruisers parked at the RM facility for deep dock on Belderone. Additionally, Corvette would have continued to be used by Bail Organa during the tenure in his Imperial Senate, which, yes, he did serve in the Imperial Senate. More for the fact because he kind of had to, or he would, die. Typically. Also to get, info on the Empire as well to fight against them. So 2 CR90 Corvettes were part of the Bodajef Defense Force, which was mobilized against the Empire when Governor Kwesi declared the succession of the Bodajef from the Empire. Commodore Thrawn was able to put a stop to them during the mineral casualties, capturing Kwesi aboard his Corvette during using a tractor beam. So this is Thrawn, as you know, he's a Grand Moff in Rebels, I believe.
Yeah.
Grand Moff Tarn? Or
Yes.
yeah,
I want to say
I want to
yes.
say he's a Grand Moff. So this is Moff Tharn that we see in Star Wars Rebels. This is before he became a Moff. This is kind of like helped his career get a
Mm.
major boost and
Oh
become
yeah.
the great villain we get in Star Wars Rebels.
Uh,
Such a good series.
yeah, it really was. Like I wasn't quite warmed up to it that first season. It takes a season, but season two
Like
kicks off.
season one's like good. It's like, okay, get introduced characters, get a nice like story going, and then once season two comes around, it's like, oh, it just kicks everything. Like it just starts rolling at like season after season after season. Like it keeps coming and coming and coming. Like get Vader, you get Thrawn, again, and it just like all the way up. It leads all the way up to that Battle of Endor. Well,
Yep.
Before, well,
Ish.
it starts. You see where we see the Rebel Alliance become like gets initialized and everything, and the last episode will be like the end of Battle of Endor. But
Yeah.
I don't know how we got to that point. So Bail Organa traveled to in the Tantive 4 with his recovered R2-D2 and C-3PO from the Rebels, who operated on Lothal. Organa's Rebel movement also used a number of CR90s. So Ahsoka Tano, under the codename Fulcrum, traveled on one when the Rebels handed the Rhodian informant Tebow from over to her. So, just like I said, they like to use the CR90s for literally everything. And Ahsoka used one.
Yeah.
Which is great. 5 CR90 Corvettes served as part of the Phoenix Cell under the command of Jun Sato. In addition to the flagship, a Pelta-class frigate called the Phoenix Home. 3 of them were used to assist the rescue of Lothal rebel leader Kanan Jarrus. God. Reading his seeing the spelling and like hearing it, it's two different things. Kanan Jarrus. After the loss of the flagship and the siege of Lothal, Commander Sato took one of the Corvettes, Liberator, as his new flagship. The Liberator had another Corvette under the call sign Transport 1, where were used in an attempt to bring relief supplies to the starving people of Abar, which we do see that actually in an episode of Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
That is, I believe, the episode where Hera comes in with a B-wing. I think.
Yes.
And
yes,
just
that sounds right.
demolishes everything, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Transport 1 was destroyed in the first run of the Imperial blockade and later replaced by another of the other Corvettes in the second attempt, which was successful thanks to prototype B6 when Phoenix Cell was discovered to be used in hiding on Gorel forces led by Admiral... Oh, God.
I'm going to go with Cassius Constantine.
Cassius Constantine led an assault on them. I almost said Callus, but that's not it.
Yeah.
But yeah, prototype B6, I believe, is the B-Wing.
That sounds right.
I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is the B-Wing. As the Liberator tried to escape, it was captured by Constantine's tractor beam. However, the tractor beam was disabled by the Ghost, which freed the Liberator and escaped. Which you can see all this in Star Wars Rebels. It's great. So after Mon Mothma declared the formation of the Rebel Alliance, several CR90s traveled with many more Rebel ships to the location on Dantooine to bring them back planet. Thank you. Shortly after, General John Dordona took 3 CR90s with his fleet to meet Phoenix Cell. Their 3 CR90s at their base on Toulon in preparation to attack the TIE Defender project on Lothal. And then, however, Grand Admiral Thrawn's forces ambushed the fleet of rebel ships. In the ensuing battle, 3 of the 6 CR90s were destroyed. The final three fled with the remaining rebels back to Phoenix Cell's base. With Thrawn, ground forces overran the base. Liberator and one other CR90 escaped and attempted to run Thrawn's blockade. Liberator escaped, but the other Corvette was destroyed. And as I was reading, going over all that, you can tell the Rebel Alliance really needed ships.
Yeah.
And how they literally stole majority of them. Watch Star Wars Rebels, you see a lot of them stealing.
I mean, it is kind of their thing for like 2 seasons.
Yes. Especially like season 1. Yeah, season 1 and 2, they're stealing literally every other episode.
Yeah.
Or Sabine blowing up TIE fighters with colorful explosions, which is great.
It sounds like a great drinking game. Drink when they steal something. Drink when Sabine destroys.
Oh no! You'll be out of a bottle before you get halfway through the season.
It's better than being out of the bottle by the end of an episode.
Fair point. And then we get to the Galactic Civil War. A number of the years later, after the Alliance to restore the Republic stole the plans of the Death Star, Princess Leia Organa traveled aboard the Tantive 4 to bring the plans to Alderaan. However, her ship was intercepted by the Devastator over Tatooine. The Tantive 4 attempted to escape, but a shot from the Star Destroyer crippled the engines, leaving it vulnerable to boarding, which is the very first scene of Star Wars A New Hope.
Yep.
You see all of that when Vader boards that ship. And somehow doesn't realize that's his daughter. Through the Force.
Look, we're going to go with like creative plot armor or something.
We go with plot armor. It's plot armor. During the Mid-Rim retreat, the Rebels Twilight Company utilized the CR90 Thunderstrike as a transport before the demise on Solist. At one point during the war, the Rebels used the Corvette Johanna's Light, which I don't recall any of this, so I want to say this is probably the comics.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the Galactic Civil War stuff, there's a lot of stuff in the comics that we just don't see. Because there's a lot of comics in the Galactic Civil War stuff.
Yes. I can't even tell you how much there is.
Yeah. Numerous CR90s joined the Alliance fleet near Solus in preparation for an assault on the second Death Star. The fleet arrived at the Ondor system to find it was a trap, and the Sharon battle, several CR90s were destroyed. Go figure. A lot of ships were destroyed in that battle. And then many CR90 Corvettes participated in the Battle of Jakku. Captain Lindsay's Corvette was heavily damaged and crashed into the surface of Jakku. Several other Corvettes joined it in what would become known as the Ship Graveyard, which, if you watch Force Awakens, you see that ship graveyard, because that's where Rey is scavenging Star Destroyers and ships.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one, you actually, at the very end of the campaign, you actually participate in the Battle of Jakku, which is really nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's nice. A really cool, like, Battlefront 2 had a rocket launch, but you can't say that campaign was bad, because that campaign gave a lot more info in the back end stuff.
I have to check it out. I haven't.
It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
So now we get to the later history. Many years after the end of the Galactic Civil War, a former Imperial senator discovered the remains of the Tantive 4 lying decrepit in the hangar of the Yarma system. Sympathetic to Leia's cause, the senator repaired the former counselor's ship and returned it to her as a gift, which I believe this is either one of the books or a comic. And there's also a lot of books.
Yeah.
There's a lot more info. Leia used the vessel as her personal flagship from the Resistance base on John Kloss. Given the lack of barracks on the moon, most of the Resistance support crew lived and slept aboard the Tantive 4. While not on duty, it was used as a generator for the Resistance base, which is pretty nice. And then in 35 ABY, multiple CR90 Corvettes, including the Tantive 4, were part of the fleet assembled by Lando Calrissian to assist the Resistance during the battle against the Sith internal forces over the planet Exegol, and a few Corvettes, including the Tantive 4, were destroyed in the battle. Which is sad. but there was a lot of cool ships on that fight scene.
Yes. Yes,
We
there were.
even see the Ghost. The Ghost is in it for one
Yeah.
split second, just like the Ghost also shows up in Rogue One for a split second as well. And then we will soon see the Ghost in full action in Ahsoka, which I am super
Yeah.
excited for.
How many Corvettes do you expect to see in Andor? Which
Oh God! Since that is going to be 2 seasons,
hmm
I expect at least 10.
I'm looking forward
And
to it
that
at
might be
least.
the number
Yeah.
destroyed, not the number we see.
Right. Yeah.
That is a good question. I mean, Bail Organa, I believe, probably will make a no return, at least for one
Yes.
episode. We know Mon Mothma is in the series as well, so we know we will see CR90s in that show.
Oh
And
yeah.
Andor does kick off here in actually next week.
Mm-hmm.
So next week is Andor, and did not realize that was next week. I might be making a special episode for Andor.
Ooh.
I will
Yeah.
have to look into that. So now we get to the characteristics of the CR90. So it was designed by a Corellian Engineering Corporation as a diplomatic ship. It would see use within the of
Annals.
the annals. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Of the Galactic Republic, Imperial Senate, and later as a combat craft in both the early Rebellion and Rebel Alliance. Measuring 150 meters in length, it featured 2 dual and 4 single turbo lasers. It had ability to reach a maximum speed of 950 kilometers. According to Luke Skywalker, some combat outfitted CR90 ships could be equipped with 6 dual turbo lasers. Capable of carrying an entire diplomatic escort, it had a passenger capacity in the hundreds. Although the ship was not built for carriers, 3 RZ-1 A-wing interceptors could be attached to the docking rings, allowing a small escort, which we actually do see that in Rebels as well. So we see A-wings. We even see the Ghost dock to a CR90 as well. Now, it's not... You don't want to use that, and obviously in like combat or trying to get away, because it's not going to be ending well. But you could easily do that with A-wings. And they would also serve as the backbone to the early Rebellion Alliance. Though not particularly heavily armed, the CR90s possessed enough forward firepower to destroy a Gonzalez-class cruiser quite easily. And those cruisers were like... So in Star Wars Rebels, you see these small cruisers carrying about like 2 to 4 TIE fighters on the bottom of it.
Okay.
It's those types of ships. And then, now we get to the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Ooh.
So, the CR90 Corvette design was developed for one originally intended for the Millennium Falcon. When that design was rejected, being too reminiscent of Space 1999's Eagle Transporter, it was adopted to become the CR90, and the most obvious change was replacing its cockpit area with the distinctive hammerhead bridge section. That was it. They didn't want to be they didn't want to
Right.
have copyrights.
Yeah. We'll just change the head. No
Yeah, we'll just
worries.
change the front of the ship. That's about it. Okay, cool. It's not copyright. In addition, the escape pods were relocated to the lower hull, with laser cannons being mounted where the pods had originally been placed. This was essential because the Tantive 4 had to launch an escape pod while inside the Imperial-class Star Destroyer Devastator's Venator hangar bay. Say what?
So because
I
the Star
see.
Destroyer had pulled it up underneath it,
Yeah,
they needed to shoot it down.
Yeah, I got it. Makes sense.
Yep.
Corvettes have a well-known blind spot and that they cannot shoot anything behind their engines, known especially to gamers in X-Wing computer games, used whenever they had to destroy on this may appear to contradict the very first scene in New Hope. The Tantive 4 shoots Devastator right behind her. This may be explained in the fact that Devastator was a much broader target and slightly above her, although the Tentive's ventral cannon also was also used. So I mean, yeah, you're going to get contradictories, obviously, from a film that came out in the 1970s
Mm-hmm.
to or from a film that came out in the 1970s to a game that came out in the 1990s.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be differences. Early West End Games RPG statistics for the Corellian Corvette lists its army as a 6 double turbo laser turret, despite the Corvette seen in New Hope and Return of the Jedi clearly mounting only 2 such turrets. This was later retconned by describing the heavier armament was a optional upgrade.
Ah.
The CR90 that appears in Star Wars Empire War is armed with only 8 laser cannons, although this was a simple game balance issue as the ship is placed into the anti-fighter role as the rebel counterpart to the Tartan class patrol cruiser. Yeah.
It makes sense.
It
Yeah.
makes it's game balance, game mechanics. You're going to have to change things up for that stuff. Especially World End. What was that? World End Games was like the first like actual like Star Wars RPG like tabletop, so like
Mm-hmm.
kind of had to do some stuff. And tabletop games aren't going to always be the same with everything. So in comparison, the Imperial class Star Destroyers mount only 4 turbo lasers instead of the 60 batteries they were supposed to have, while the MC-80 Liberty type Star Cruiser is similarly nerfed from 48 turbo lasers to 4 to match the Imperial class in strength.
Okay, that's a hell of a nerf. I don't
That is a
like.
super nerf. That's not just a nerf. That's a super nerf. You go from
They
what
cut that to
60
12.
to 4, and then you go
Or
from 48 to 4. Like,
yeah. Woof.
yeah, I mean, I get game balance, but geez, I'm sure
Maybe.
there should have been a way to be able. I mean, granted, if you do like a Star Destroyer against an X-wing and you get a good roll, yeah, the X-wing's demolished like 5,
Yeah.
maybe 20 times over.
Even
Here's
if you
4,000
incorporate
damage. I have 200 health.
and no shields. Oh
Yeah.
my god. It always amuses me that the X Wings just have nothing out there. You just take a hit, you're dead. You're done. You're like in a cardboard box flying around it.
An X-wing or a TIE fighter?
Well, both, but
This X-wing has shields though.
uh
The X-wing does have shields. The TIE fighter
okay.
is like you take one shot, you're dead.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no shields protecting you. Like we went when with our TIE fighter episode, we went over where the TIE fighter actually has ejector seats, but 9 times out of 10, the ejector seat will not go off because you're dead by the
Why
time you
bother?
react.
Yeah.
So,
It's like
so
we're required by law to put them in here.
yeah, no, that's exactly why. Actually,
Oh, okay.
in that episode, we like when we were going over that, like the Empire has a like bare minimum like safety features in it because they were required by the Senate. That is the only reason. Let
Okay.
alone like it's not going to be used because it won't. So
Good to know.
early schematics of the CR90 show a much smaller ship lengthwise than the original filming's miniature portrays. The reason is unclear, but the trend towards this stunted look continued to affect every incarnation of the ship, from role-playing deck plans to computer models for the X-Wing series. The era was propagated even into Revenge of the Sith's portrayal of the Tantive 4 as a stunted ship. This was retconned by Rebel Alliance Blueprints book as being a CR70 Corvette, while the much longer Tantive 4 is now recognized as a definitive CR90.
Mm, okay.
So, yay for retcons.
I love
Um,
retcons. when they're done well.
Right, if they're done well. Exactly. In the Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds expansion pack clone campaigns, the player via a cheat code can get a CR90 Corvette, then titled Rebel Blockade Runner, as a playable ship. The cheat code's name was a reference to the Tantive 4. And then the Essential Guide to Warfare mentions the Corellian Corvettes were an important part of the Imperial support fleet, but doesn't state the Corvette model. The book says the CR70 and the CR90 were two of the most common models. Fair.
Okay.
And lastly, according to the Sounds of Star Wars, the sound of the Rebel, Blockade Runner, and the opening scene of A New Hope is a mixture of a slowed-down World War II AT-6 propeller-driven racing airplane and a 747 jet.
Okay. Cool.
So, just like in other episodes we talked, George Lucas used a lot of sounds from World War II.
Well, it was 1970, whatever. You know,
It
it's
was
only 30 years
1970
removed.
I want to say it was 77, 78
Yeah, that sounds right.
when A New Hope dropped. So it was a
Yeah.
few decades after World War II ended. So, I mean, as we stated like in the TIE Fighter, and I think we stated in the X-Wing episode, the dogfighting of those starfighters were directly pulled from World War II footage.
Okay.
From World
That's
War II
cool.
planes, air dogfights, which is really cool. But yeah, that's what we got on X-Wings. And Lion 6441, I play squadrons on a competitive team and tell you all about the that's yeah, Squadrons is great. I love that game. But my god, does the CR90 have terrible health? It is crap.
On
But-
par with like a medical frigate.
Yes. It is a terrible health. And of course, when you're like in an X-Wing trying to take down the Empire, good luck trying to take one of their cruisers down. It takes freaking forever.
Ugh.
You typically have your capital ship and then two cruisers and then the fighters. And for some reason, the Empire ones always last a lot longer than the Rebels, and it's crap. But yeah, it's fun. It's great. I love those games. I love playing. Like if anybody plays the original Star Wars Battlefronts, those games are great too. And I don't know if the CR90 shows up in those two. I want to say at least shows up. You don't get to fly one. That's kind of obvious, but yeah, a lot of fun. Anything else to add, Psych?
Nah, I think I'm good. I learned a lot.
Well, that's good. So yeah, next week we might Teacup should be back next week. And then I will look into possibly doing a special episode for Andor, seeing as much as info I can get on him before the new series starts. Which is going to be awesome. 3 hours. A 3-hour premiere.
Yeah.
The first 3 episodes out of 12. So
finally something of substance. I'm getting tired of these like 6 and 5 and 8 drops from Disney and stuff.
Well,
like,
I think She-Hulk's slated for 9.
I thought it was 8.
8 or 9. I think it's 8 or 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Andor's going to have 12. But we
Okay.
get the first quarter of the season in the first day.
I mean,
So
you want to hook them.
Yeah, that's true. You want to hook them, I guess. I mean, there's going to be a lot in the 3 hours, and Andor is supposed to be decently dark.
Yeah, I
Very
have
much
heard that
darker
one.
tone, kind of like how Obi-Wan was like halfway through the season. It got to a pretty darker tone,
Oh yeah, I did.
specifically with Vader. Hey, I'm just going to go in the street and just start breaking necks left and right, and then oh, hey Obi-Wan, you want to see some sheet metal on fire? Here you go. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Uh,
But yeah, the Andor starts next week. We get Tales of the Jedi in October. They did confirm that. October 26th, I believe, we get Tales of the Jedi, which is a 6-episode series. It's all animated
damn.
with Dave
Okay.
Filoni. 3 episodes of young Count Dooku before he turned to the dark side, with Qui-Gon back. And Liam
Like,
Neeson is voicing Qui-Gon again.
okay.
And
Okay.
then the other 3 episodes is specifically Ahsoka, of how she became a Jedi, and then what happened after season 7.
Okay.
Because she, in the trailer, she meets an Inquisitor. And I don't think it's going to be the same Inquisitor that she gets her white crystals from. I
The
don't
eighth
think it's
brother,
sixth brother.
sixth brother, right?
I don't think it's the sixth brother, but it could be. I don't know if it's going to be a
I
retelling
mean,
of it or whatnot. I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know how I feel about Count Dooku, like not reset, but just kind of like let's go back over that or something.
Yeah,
Because
well, I mean,
sometimes
we
you just don't
see.
need it. Like,
Yeah, but the thing with Count Dooku, though, we don't know his, like, we see him in the films, obviously, but that's it. We don't, in the Clone Wars, but we don't see how he turned to the dark side, or like what really drove him to that point. And this is the series that we're going to get that in.
okay.
And then, I mean, they had D23 this past weekend, so they announced a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, they
Um,
did.
a lot of stuff. Um, a lot of good, decent enough Star Wars stuff, and a lot of other live action stuff, which I'm super pumped
Hmm.
for. But they also showed Bad Batch season 2 will be returning. It's going to be in January instead of this fall. I think they swapped the dates for Tales of the Jedi. Honestly, they probably wanted that out first before Bad Batch. And then they recently cast Ezra Bridger for the
Uh-huh.
Ahsoka series, and if no one has looked it up, look up Ezra for Ahsoka. The actor they got for Ahsoka
Oh
looks,
man.
I'm not even joking,
I mean,
identical to the
yeah, it does.
character from Rebels. Animation and every, like, from animation to live action, there is zero. Like, I don't know what Disney did or how they got this guy, but he looks identical to Ezra.
Yeah.
It's
They
scary.
nailed
Same as
his
Sabine.
physicality.
Even Sabine looks identical to Sabine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and Dave Filoni even commented saying, expect a lot of awesome lightsaber fights. So this is going to be the series that we're all going to want. And
Oh
they
yeah,
also dropped the trailer for Mando season 3.
that they did. Oh man,
And Mando
they
season 3 is
were.
going to be epic.
uh, you are not the Mandalorian.
And that's the okay. This is a little great before we end the show.
Yeah, sorry.
But
Yes.
that is the dumbest thing. Oh, you're no longer a Mandalorian. It's like, really? I have the dark saber. By right, I am the ruler of Mandalore. I am Mandalore. You don't
Yeah.
tell me what to do. Like, what? That makes zero sense to me. And she knows he has the dark saber. She knows
Mm-hmm.
she can't tell him anything. It
Mm-hmm.
can't tell him what to do. Like, what the heck? Oh god, I don't
Yeah.
understand that. But apparently the armor is going to have some sort of thing in season 3. Bo-Katan's back. We see
Mm-hmm.
Grogu again. Um I expect Mandalorian probably to show up in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't doubt it. They're liking they're they from what we see in the live action stuff, they're tying in all the series together, kind of like how Marvel does.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and Marvel does it so much. But yeah, it's so much, a lot of good Star Wars news, a lot of good other news. So yeah, that's what we got for this episode, and I will see everybody next week, and you will see Psych on the next patron chat.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Which we need to figure out what we're going to talk about. What are we going to talk about?
I mean,
We
first
could do
reaction to Andor, if you
speculations.
want,
Oh,
or
that's a good point. We could do reactions to Andor. There we go.
yeah,
We got
that would have
something.
dropped. I mean, that's a great great comment. You know, just like, hey, we all want to talk about this thing like just happened.
Just like Obi-Wan, when Obi-Wan dropped, we all were like freaking out the entire
Oh
time,
yeah, you guys
trying
were.
not to do spoilers, but it's kind of hard to do that when we're all super
Yeah.
Star Wars nerds. Anyway,
I had to like mute that channel on the Discord just to be like, I can't until I see it.
that's fair. That is fair. But we will see you all next time. And then may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at swholohistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com. All right. That was so much fun. Thank you again, sir, for coming on the show.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Did you see the Percy Jackson trailer?
I did also see the Percy Jackson trailer.
I am so excited for that, and that trailer even looked better than the film so far, and it was only 50 seconds. It's not hard to do, but still.
Very low bar there.
True. I mean, the first film was good. The first Percy Jackson, it's mainly the Sea of Monsters for me.
Oh, yeah.
Sea of Monsters really killed it for me. And I was like, why is this like you skipped so much and like so much stuff? And I think if I recall, they even pulled stuff from other books to put in the film, and
they basically wrapped it sort of because
it was
Kronos bit and other stuff, and it's just like there's a lot going on here that you kind of didn't build up to, and like none of your story worked right. You kind of killed off some major characters that you needed. Everything kind of got Hollywood beautified. It didn't match the characters that were described at all. So yeah, it was just it wasn't a good adaptation. It wasn't faithful to any of the stuff that had been presented. So
super excited. Authors actually like on the project for the series, and I was okay, cool, it's so done. As long as he's part of it, and the actor who's playing Percy, if no one's watched the Adam Project, watch the Adam Project. As Ryan Reynolds. It is rated R. Let me warn everybody now. It is rated R, for a very good reason. But it is Ryan Reynolds. The kid actor they had,
was fantastic,
perfect, and he's playing Percy, and I am so excited to see him in a major role. And honestly, just him being with Ryan Reynolds was great. And I don't know, did you know how he got the role?
No,
for Adam Project?
No.
I'm not even kidding. He quoted Deadpool line by line.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Watch an interview with him with Ryan Reynolds. It is hysterical because he will quote Deadpool with no filter, mind you. And the kid's like 13, 14 years old, playing a younger version of Ryan Reynolds, and he did a perfect job playing a younger version of Ryan Reynolds, that's for sure. Zero filter. It is hysterical. They even did like a Kraft mac and cheese commercial like as a promotion for Adam Project, and they had him, the kid, doing this like trying to sell Kraft's mac and cheese, but he kept saying the wrong line and saying something stupid like something Deadpool would say or Ryan Reynolds would say. So the like you see like it going back and forth from him to like the producer, and the producer's like, "What the heck? What are you doing?" Or like just blatantly cussing. And like Ryan Reynolds was like, "Yeah, it might be my fault. He's playing a younger version of me on the movie that we're doing." And so let me try and go talk to him. So he goes talk to him, and it's just a bunch of beeps because he's just like cussing at him. It's like, get your crap together, like stop doing this. And it's like, and then he finally gets it right, and it's like the Adam Project. It's like, oh my god, this is the best promotional trailer I've ever seen.
Oh man, that's great.
Ryan Reynolds is the best non-American we have in America.
Yeah.
He's Canadian, but still.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
He's great. He's fantastic.
And somewhere out in the universe, there's a Ryan Reynolds that plays Wolverine.
I don't know how I'd feel about that, honestly.
Neither do I.
I think that would be great. But everybody
Anyway.
who's watching the stream, thank you for staying and listening to us. And I will see you guys next time.